Whispers, Ilse. Hi everyone, and welcome to part 2 of my gardening series. Today is going to be a little bit of a compilation of different little clips in which I will be doing gardening. The first one is going to be me pruning my thyme plant for the first time. I think about about a month ago, I planted some thyme sprigs that were in the fridge for a week that I bought at the vegetable store. And right now, because they've been under my growing light that I have now, I have it set up right there. That's why you see the purple light. They were a little bit too close to the light because the tomato plants are still a lot smaller. So they became a little bit leggy. And what that means is I'll show you that in a little bit. So I'm going to start by trimming this, and from there on we'll see whatever else ends up in this video. So I hope you'll enjoy. Have fun. So here is my thyme plant. As you can see, it has some very leggy parts to it that have a significant amount of space in between every set of leaves, and so I'm going to trim it down all the way. The same with these parts. Some of them are getting a bit leggy, so I'm just going to cut them down. And yeah, the more you prune your herb plants, the more bushy they become. So it's very important for healthy plants to trim them, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. So today I'm going to be using my ridiculously oversized scissors that I also use, that I'm also going to be using for my aquarium stuff in the future. And this will be my first prune for this plant. So yeah, let me just move this stick out of the way. Just put that beside this thyme plant because it's a little bit top heavy. That's the reason why. And I'm just going to prune off some leaves. So there we go. Little side piece. Just very small pieces. I'm not going to trim off too much because the general rule is to not trim off more than 1/3 of the plant. Although, since these are sprigs that I planted not too long ago, I do think I'm going to cut off just a little bit more. I think I'm going to cut it off right above this set of leaves. Right there. And these two right above the leaf. Or right above the leaf. There. There we go. And it's funny, as soon as I start to cut it, it really smells like thyme. So, just a little bit. So I'm just going to do this one on the side. A little bit wiggly wobbly. I'm going to do the same thing with this one, just above that set of leaves. And make sure that when you do this, that your scissors are clean and sharp. All these little leggy parts I'm going to cut off. So they grew quite a bit. In about a month, they grew almost 2 inches from when I planted them. And then this one has 2 leggy parts right here that I'm going to cut off as well. Right above the set of leaves. And there. And yeah, this one starts to get some leggy parts on the side, so I'm just going to cut off those tiny leggy parts. And I might actually use this thyme tonight in something that I'm going to cook. So there you have it. Very simple. Just a little bit of pruning of my thyme plant. And this is how much I cut off. So like I said, normally about 1/3, but since these are sprigs, I don't actually know if they already have roots or not. It can take up to a month or two, depending. But yeah, this is how much I cut off in total. And now for the tasting test, I'm going to eat a little bit of it because I'm kind of curious to know how this will taste. So yeah. Okay, so now you can actually see my little growing unit in the back. That's the metal shelving unit that I was waiting for, that I set up. At the moment I only have one growing light, as you can see right there. And so far I'm very happy with it. I found one YouTube review video on it that was really good. Somebody that actually managed to grow tomatoes under it. And yeah, I'm using them for my tomato plants. And I'm also going to plant some seeds of chives and mint. And I also have some lettuce seeds, but I don't know when I will plant those. But when I do plant them, I will show you how I do that. And yeah, maybe that will be for part 3, who knows. But right now, that weather, the lighting contrast is kind of weird, isn't it? It's like really bright daylight on this side, and you have that purple light on the back. It's not a sketchy place, it's just my workspace, I promise. My aquarium is right there too. Hear the bubbly. So yeah, I have a small piece of thyme right here. Let's see, can I focus on that? Nope. Just looks like a failed attempt of a little fly that's trying to get in front of the camera. But yeah, I have a tiny little piece of thyme here, so I'm just going to eat it. I don't know how spicy it's going to be, but well, I guess we'll figure it out. So oh yeah, that burns nicely on your tongue. That tastes good. So those were the top parts of the sprigs that I just trimmed off. The bottom parts were store-bought because that's the one. The bottom part is the part that I planted into the pot. But yeah, it has a really good flavor to it. So I'm excited for this thyme plant to become a bit more bushy. So yeah, let's move on to the next part. Welcome back to part 2. So I bought some things to make my gardening indoors a bit easier. I got a tray, a dish rack tray, so that the dirt doesn't go everywhere, the soil. And for this part, I am going to show you how to repot this succulent plant, but also how to take away these little babies that are getting squashed underneath. So yeah, I am going to be very careful. I cannot guarantee that I won't break off any leaves, but I'm going to, like I said, be as careful as possible. And another thing that I will be needing is another jar. A clay jar is, or a clay pot rather, is preferred. But since I will be repotting this one soon again, I'm just going to put it in here for now. And I have some river rocks on the bottom, as you can see. Which allows the water to drain. So I also bought some succulent soil, which is a fast, quick draining kind of soil. It's for succulents and cactus. And I just got this bag at my local gardening center. So yeah, let's get started. I have for this part, I will also need my large scissors again. But for now, I'm going to take out the plants first and see how far we can go with that. I hope it won't be too loud because there is some rocks here and there. Yeah, this plant really needs to be repotted. There's even 2 leaves growing together here. They morphed into each other. So yeah, this succulent plant needs a little bit more space. So yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to give it that little bit more space that it needs in this pot. So let me just carefully take this out. Okay, that's a little bit more stuck than anticipated. There we go. So this pot also had some a lot of river rocks on the bottom, actually. Let me just put that aside. Here, let me put this on the other side. I actually let the soil dry out completely. This is actually also succulent soil that it was in already, because I just used the soil that came with the pot when I bought this. I'm just going to put these river rocks back into the jar. Or, I keep saying jar, I mean the pot. Usually I associate pots with like plastic or clay, and when it's glass I tend to call it a jar, but it's still a little pot. Like I said in one of my previous videos, video is not completed without dog hair somewhere. There's some dog hair right here. Okay, those are all the river rocks. Just let me... Okay, there we go. So before I can repot this plant, I just have to take off the succulent plants first. So I'm going to take off a little bit more of the soil. Just whatever naturally comes loose. Not all of it, but just a little bit. So that I can access the babies a little bit better. Definitely don't want to break any of those roots off. Another river rock. Okay, so the babies are sticking out from the bottom. There's some dead leaves here too. I'll gently remove. Maybe I should zoom in for this a little bit so that you can see it a little bit more up close. Up close. There. So as you can see, the babies on the side and here. And then there's another one squished underneath right here. So just breaking away the soil around it and the dead leaves. There, now I can really see the stem of the little baby succulent. That's coming from the mother plant. Just trim away a little bit more of those dead leaves. And in the future, I will give you updates on how all of the succulent plants are doing. If that's something you're interested in, of course. Maybe it might look a little bit violent on the camera, the way how I remove the leaves, but I am very gentle. So now I can see the stems of the baby plant entirely. You can probably see it too now. Stems are exposed. So I'm just going to cut off the baby plants with my scissors. That is one. I won't be potting these today because they need to scab over first, so I have to let them dry for about 2 days until the end of the stem scabs over, and then I can actually put them in a pot. There, I will show you the baby plants up close in a bit, but first things first, I really have to repot this. There's so many dead leaves underneath here. Clean it up a little bit, give it some air to breathe again underneath. And ideally, this plant is getting a slightly too much sun in the location that it's sitting, but unfortunately I either have a location with full sun or no sun at all. So this is left of the succulent plant. And some roots underneath. So I'm going to put some soil in the cylinder pot now, and then I'm going to repot it in there. Let me just zoom out a little bit. There. Okay, so if we look at the size of the succulent, I want it to stick out above a little bit, so I need a fair amount of soil. And I have long nails at the moment, which is totally not handy for gardening, but it is what it is. So let me me open the bag, since I haven't opened the bag yet. And for this, I am just going to use my hands. Let me just put the bag on the table as well. Oh, maybe not there, since it's covering all the light. There, that's better. Okay, it's very soft soil. Very soft and fine. So I'm just going to put that on top of the river rocks. You know, even though it's not nice to look at, I always like the feeling of the soil getting on my hands and under my nails. It gives me the feeling I'm doing something. So a nice layer of the soil. I think I need a little bit more. This seems to be about right. I'm just gonna hold it and I'm going to spread the soil around it. And if you're doing this yourself, I would recommend to do this outside, but because it can get a bit messy. But one of the reasons why I'm sitting indoors is so that it's more calming and relaxing, since you have a lot of traffic noises outside and, you know, stuff like that. So ideally you would definitely want to do this outside. Spread it out nice and even. Make sure that the leaves on the bottom of the succulent plant are not covered in soil. So I'm just going to flatten this a little bit. Tuck it in. And then I'm going to put some rocks on top of this as well. The old river rocks that came out of there. There we go. A little bit more on this side, on the back. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Let me show you up close. So now I'm going to put some river rocks around it. For that I can zoom in a little bit. There. Just going to use this jar with the river rock. let's move this a little bit that way. That one fits in between there. A flat one right underneath that leaf. A little round one in that little corner right there. This is really fun for me. It's like it's almost like I have my own little Zen garden this way. There's a little bit more space left here for some more rocks. Maybe a big one, something like this. There, let's see if I have some small ones maybe that I can fit in between some of the cracks. Right there. Another small one here. Okay, so there you have it. Repotted my succulent plant. And now I'm going to show you the babies up close. Since we still have those as well. One of them got squished completely, so it took on a very flat shape. Let me just zoom in a little bit more so that you can see my disgusting nails. As you can see, it's entirely flat. Once it has its own little pot and it will be up, it will correct its shape. And then we got this one. These ones were squished a little bit less. So these have a slightly different shape. This one is squished on this side a little bit. And this one is the least squished out of the three. So yeah, just gonna let these dry out for a day or two until they scab over, and once that has happened, I'm going to give them their own little clay pots, and then I have some new succulent plants. So I'd like to thank you so much for watching. And if you would like to see a third part, please let me know. I'll see what I can do. And yeah, for now, I wish you a good night. I hope you have an amazing sleep. Don't forget to turn on the notifications so that you get a notification when I upload a new video.